Now today, I bet you guys would think that this video is about to be about, oh, the new Anime Rangers update. Not really. Because to be honest, there's not really much to go over there. It is literally just a raid update. Game's got 30,000 players. Slop, people are going to play slop. It's just what it is. There's nothing special about it. I would make a video on it, but dude, it would literally just come down to me sitting there, AFKing and saying, yeah, this was buns, garbage. There's nothing really else to talk about. That's it. That's really all the updates come down to, but I guess people missed it and there's nothing else to play at the time. But I want to talk about something a little bit different. So, yesterday, this guy named Chodlik Bodlik 2.0 hit me up, and he wanted to talk to me about this refund situation he was having with Anime Rangers X, where he had, and I quote, 23x speed game passes that he traded for. He traded for them, fair and square, went through with the trade, and he had them. But since the game got completely reworked, relaunched with nobody stuff and nothing, he doesn't have those anymore, and he wanted to restore. He had all of the evidence for it and everything, but they did not want to give him his 23 times speeds back. Now you're probably wondering, Blake, 23x speeds is an insane amount. Nobody would refund that. But they themselves said, if you got it via trading, we also have logs. You can submit a ticket to support server with your username, and you can get your game passes restored. That's under the Game Pass Restores section by Melport/English. And they linked the ARX support shrine where Chodek went. Now, I want to make this very clear. The game just re-released. It's already bet. I'm making a ton of money. What was that sentence? I bet it's already making a ton of money. It's got 30,000 players. God forbid. Of course it is. So, 23x speed game passes that were traded for will not ruin the economy of the game, nor will it hurt the game at all. It will literally do nothing. It will do little to nothing but make the boss a little bit more, like, slightly miss out on a couple bucks. Excuse me. So now I'm going to present this evidence. So, as I said, Chodlik Bodlik over here underneath, and the images I'm going to be showing you is going to be going under the name Sussy Hamoud Habibi, but I guess he changed his name. So he said, okay, so I need to restore my 20x, 3x speed game passes, fast stars, and extra unit storage, and my bought 3 times speed. I will send proof. In his proof, as you can see here, he provided that he bought the 3x speed game pass, and there are going to be better images here for the trade. But after he sent this to XTL, he said 23x aren't restorable. He said, broski, what? I got them fair and square. He said, son, I can give you the 3x you bought and the other game passes, but not 23x's. He said, and he's quoting the Game Pass Restore mod that posted this, said, hold them horses, bro chacho. Y'all said you're going to give us our stuff back, even trading. Okay? Which they should be doing. But then he said, there's a limit. I'm not giving you 23x speeds. Also, Mel is a mod. She doesn't know anything about how we do it. If that is the case, why did you let her post it? And why don't you, XTL, post it yourself? Because apparently you're the head honcho here. Post it yourself and make it clear instead of just straight up not, like, just saying, oh, if you got anything through trading, we can restore it. And then you're going to tell people, oh, we can't do it. Okay. And then he sent me more screenshots. He said, units aren't restorable. What is the other guy doing? He said, son. Then, gifted game passes aren't restorable. But that wasn't the problem. He didn't get them gifted. He traded for them. Sent the images again. This is my evidence. He said, bro, you're not getting these 23x speeds. Next image. He didn't buy it. He traded for it. He wanted his stuff back, as you can see in the message. He resent everything, presented to more people, said that it was, and the XTL is still pushing the fact that it is a mod, that a mod posted this. If that was such a big deal, why doesn't he just go in there himself and be like, hey guys, a couple people are hitting me up about all these game passes and trading stuff they want restored. We can only do so much. But they still don't do that. Next image. Why are you listening to a mod, dude? Why aren't you correcting the mod if you're so high and mighty, XTL? And then he said, I mean, we restore trading, but I'm not restoring 23x speeds. Then, in the next set of images, He provided the evidence again. Then he said, do you even have a screenshot showing the 23x in your inventory? He said, because all you showed me was an unfinished trade, which is a fair statement. That is a very fair statement. This is the full image, the only image he has of it, of him, Sussy Hamoud Habibi, which is his Discord name and his in-game name on Roblox, trading his Senku for 23x speed game passes. Both were ready. The trade was set. But we don't know that it went all the way through, which is a fair assessment. But they consistently say that they are able to go and check the logs. He can literally do it. And then in the next screenshot, he says, unfinished, check the logs. That's what Sussy Hamoud said. XTL says, I do, but logs says he didn't trade it. He's responding to someone else. He said, lol. In the next image, he said, I guess the image of the trade and my logs are not enough proof that I did have the 20x, 3x game passes in my inventory. What a shame. And then he said, it ain't possible. I mean, it is possible, but if I do it, it would be bad for the game, so I don't. So not only does XTL backpedal on himself and literally just contradict what he said, he says, and I quote, it ain't possible. Well, it is possible, but I don't want to do it because it's going to make us lose money, is basically what he's saying here. So he's able to go back and check the logs to ensure that this happened, but doesn't want to give them back. Because if he did, they would lose out on their precious income. A very slight amount in the grand scheme of things, by the way. And then someone else said, another person around the same level of power here said, cut it down the middle and give him 10. It's the most you can do, especially since he's the one most affected by the situation, which is fair. If it's such a big deal that 20 is the point, at least give half, because then at least he still has trading value for when the game starts coming back, which it is. Then he says, most affected would be the game itself, not him. The unit he traded doesn't even exist anymore, which would be the case for almost every trading issue, every trading thing in the game, by the way, that they would try to, you would need restores for, because nothing currently in the game that can be really traded exists in the current game compared to the game before. So if someone showed like a trade before the game shut down of them getting a bunch of stuff, I guess that just means a bunch of hoopla. And then he said, people have bought these game passes with money and y'all are not willing to restore them. That was Sussy Hamoud. XTL then says, if they bought it, they have transactions history, so they get restored. But there's also logs, are there not? And he said, so we do not restore crazy amounts of game passes. Like, and then he starts saying that this is what I don't understand. He said, Sussy Hamoud said, same goes to trading. You got the logs. No, okay. Let me go over Riku first. He said the game has 14.1k current players. 10 game passes would not affect the economy significantly. Sussy Hamoud then says, same goes to trading. You got the logs equals a restore. It's not that hard. XTL then says, then the 23x goes to the guy who had them before. So he just, at this point, just doesn't want to do it, in spite of Sussy Hamoud. He's now coming up with, oh, well, it just goes to the other guy because he traded it to you, even though you had it for a long period of time and you traded your unit. We're not going to give you anything in return, and we're going to choose to just give it to the other guy. So not only are you now proving again that you can go back and check that this happened, and you're just choosing not to give it to him, even though he went through the trade and you can go back in the logs and check. You can, but you're refusing not to. Doesn't make any sense. And then Riku Astley, he says, I'll go as far to say that 20 game passes, especially since the game pass in question is a mere 3 times speed. I'd say it's reasonable to give him what he deserves. And that's a fair point, because 3x speed is only an 800 Robux game pass. This is not some $30, $50, $100 bundle. It's not. It is literally 800 Robux. $8. That's it, if not less. And then he said, he was the one who bought it all, says XTL. Imagine everyone who traded those 20 game passes can just restore as well. But XTL, that doesn't make any sense because you said he was the one who bought it all. How do you know that the other guy didn't get those 23x speeds from trading as well? How do you know? Because you just didn't, literally just genuinely did not check it. In the next screenshot, he said, unfinished trade. Sussy Hamoud says, finished trade, why would I even try to lie about this? Exactly, why would he be going this far to show proof of this for just 23x speed game passes when they could just be checking the logs for this? I genuinely don't understand why they're making this such a big deal. But then XTL says your last log is a trade with a guy named Dad King 12345678890. Okay? And then Sussy Mood says, yeah, I gave him one of the 23x speeds because he was my friend. He said, keep checking the logs. You'll see the trade was real. And then he says, nothing about 23x speeds. But he doesn't provide any evidence that he can't find it. He said, why would I lie about it? Then he says further and further. Hamoud says, just because I don't have a screenshot of this in my inventory doesn't mean I don't have it. XGO says, I wonder why. Sussy Moods, blah, blah, blah. They keep talking. He said, join the private server. Said they deleted everything, which they did. They literally had no reason to delete everybody's game passes and such. And he says that's the only proof he had it existed. So if he had proof it was in his inventory, yes, this would probably be like a lot more confirmed truth. But XTL is constantly backpedaling on himself and basically just saying, at this point, we just don't want to give it to you. We don't feel like going through the effort of checking through the logs to find that you really did this because we would lose out on money, and we just don't want to do it. We just don't want to do it. And furthermore, he said, check the logs. There's no possible way that the logs don't say that this trade wasn't finalized, even though it did. Then, as he said, he gave one of the 3x game passes to Dad King. And then he said, so how come this trade was finalized but the 20x, 3x speed isn't? Then Riku says, that's pretty solid. How could you have given Dad King one of those said 3x game passes if your 23x was never finalized? Which is fair, because in his own logs, he only bought one 3x speed. He only has one confirmed purchase of a 3x speed for himself. So if he didn't have another one, how would he have another 23x speed? How? Why would he be gifted a 23x speed even though he already had 23x speed and then gift that to his friend? That's a stretch in and of itself to say, with no proof behind it as well. And then, let me go back even further, because I just clicked off by accident. Then he said, buying it. XGL says buying it. And then Rick Assey's like, does his log indicate him buying a 3x Game Pass at the time? Sussy Hamoud then says, the only thing I bought is a 3x Game Pass to myself, and I redeemed it to myself. Which they can check. Then, we go a little bit further here. So, there's one very, very specific message sent by XTL that I want to... Let me see if I can find it. Give me one sec, guys. Give me one sec. Ah, here it is as well. So this wasn't from XTL. This is from Comet. This is another thing. They only gave people a couple days. Thousands of people, by the way. Thousands of people that want their restores a couple days to go through the entire process talking with people. People who are probably going to get annoyed that they have to spend 24 hours of their day talking to people that want their game passes and trades back. Excuse me. And so for a game that was around for close to a year, had thousands and thousands to millions of players on it, throughout the entire year it's been open with over 1 billion visits, I'm pretty sure the game has, or at least close. And you're only giving them a couple days to try and get their game passes and such back. After you guys deleted everybody's stuff. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why make this such a big deal? Why not go into the logs and prove, hey, look, we looked in the logs, we didn't find anything. Instead of just saying, yeah, we didn't find anything. I would be able to give them back to you, but it would be bad for the game and we lose money, so we're not going to do it. It just doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense at all. Seriously, it just doesn't. It doesn't. So, it's not really a big deal in the entirety of things, in the entirety of the universe. This does not matter. Let's keep it real. World will go on. But it's still scummy that they're being this stingy about stuff. Now, we all know the boss is a greed boss. A greed and Yahoo of the next generation. Beyond anything most developers have seen. This dude has taken so much money greed-wise. Literally one of the greediest people on Earth I could probably name off the top of my head. So this is not a surprise to me. But it's still crazy, man. It is still crazy that this was even, an issue in the first place. My God, dude. And if the dude was nicer about it, it wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have really made a video about it. I really wouldn't have cared. But the dude is being a genuine jerk. He was being a genuine jerk about it. Every single way of the way, like part of the way through, he wasn't being nice. He wasn't trying to work with the dude. He just kept backpedaling and contradicting himself just for the fact that to reveal, yeah, I just didn't want to give it to you. You have the images. We can check the logs. We're gonna say that we checked them, but guess what? We're not gonna show proof that we checked them, or we're not gonna send you any of the logs in a personal message and be like, hey, look, this is what we found. We couldn't find anything on it. We're sorry. We can give you like 3 back, but that's the best we can do without proof of complete evidence. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that. So, yeah, that's my yap session for the day, guys. Not much on the actual update, as I said, but there's nothing really to cover. Let's keep it real. It's Anime Rangers X. Anyway, have a good one, everybody.